Romeo is sobbing. Genevieve doesn't feel validated. Aaron and James go on a double date, and Teddy's Irish goodbye. Bachelor in Paradise episode 3 covered a lot of ground. Hey guys, and welcome back to another shared news. We have to dive into episode 3 and everything it had to offer. But before we do, make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on any of our Bachelor updates. We are going to also get our live chat going, so feel free to drop your comments in there and we'll be pulling some and talking to you guys throughout the live. I'm here with Kayla Thompson, one of my favorite people to recap The Bachelor with. Kayla, how are you doing?
Hey girl, missed you. I'm doing good. I will say if I sound a little weird, everybody, I'm getting over a cold. So God bless. Y'all pray for me. But I'm doing good. This episode was definitely interesting. So there's a lot to talk about. I know you and Zach talked yesterday about Mondays, so I'll try to separate from what happened with Monday. But 4 hours of paradise, whew, I'm tired. But
Oh,
yeah,
it
there's a
is a
lot, there's a lot to
lot.
dive into.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Totally.
definitely a lot, but
Yeah, and it
but
is
still
kind
so
of
much
hard
fun.
to distinguish because they were kind of, they bled right into each other. So I'm going to kind of
Yeah.
walk us through what we saw last night. And it really
Yeah.
did pick up where we left off on Monday night. So we start this
Mhm.
episode. He's not only crying, I would describe it as weeping. This man is weeping into his arms. He is laying down on tables. It is he's doing his name justice. This is a very Shakespearean moment. He is
It's
weeping
true.
after the Jill, Kira, Brittany situation. Everyone wants him, but no one wants him at the same time. He's being messy. It's some F boy behavior, if I'm being honest. And thankfully, we have
Yeah.
some good narrators. We had Haley in yesterday's episode. Now we have Casey acting as kind of the voice of reason. And he said, quote, "I don't even understand Romeo crying. All of these are your own choices and your own decisions. He is his own undoing." So, and I stand by that.
Mm.
He was messy. He was transparent episode 1 about wanting to be with Jill over Kira. I liked how he handled that. And now he's kind of trying to play the field right before a rose ceremony. He's leaning in for that kiss with Brittany. She's like sidestepping the kiss. The whole thing is just awkward and messy. But when Romeo is dealing with his tragedy, we have another man being victorious. Jacob is living his absolute best life because he also has a rose to give out. And Lace, Haley, and Kira are all vying for his rose. So Kira takes it even a step further and ends up blindfolding Jacob and then surprising him by changing into an outfit of leaves, a la his outfit when he came down to the beach. He calls her Jane, the Jane to his Tarzan, and the two end up making out. So we really have a very interesting juxtaposition between Romeo and Jacob during
Yeah,
this
it's true.
cocktail hour before the rose ceremony. So this was just absolute
Yeah.
chaos to me. So what did you think about everything going
Whew.
down?
I mean, all of it had me spinning. Like Romeo for sure. Like I was just like, Romeo, what? Like, what is going on? Because first of all, Romeo, you have the rose. Like, you have the
Mm-hmm.
power, quote unquote, this week. So, like, why are you spiraling? Why are you crying? Like, what? And I don't know if he was crying because he was just like almost embarrassed or something, because he was just like failing at every turn in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what you said of just like he was an F boy, like it was like he was just a bad F boy. Like he doesn't know how to do
Mm-hmm.
it right or something because it just
Totally.
wasn't working. And if he was
Mm-mm.
gonna give his rose to Jill anyway, it's like, so then what was all of that about? Like
Yeah.
going to Haley, then going to Kira, then going to Brittany. It's like, Romeo, please. But it is funny that, that I didn't realize the juxtaposition of that and Jacob. Like Jacob had the complete opposite, you're right, of like everyone wanting Jacob's rose, like Lace and all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I just was like, whoa, okay, where's Jacob coming from all of a sudden? But I
Yeah.
guess he's the other guy that's kind of like fair game. I guess maybe Casey and Brittany were already locked in as like maybe just like friend wise, we're gonna have each other's
Mm-hmm.
back. So, girls weren't going to Casey maybe, but because I'm like, Jacob, like this is so random, but
Jacob
I
is
guess you gotta do
becoming,
what you gotta
as he
do.
says in his own words, like the Bachelor in Paradise is what he said. Those are his words. So he's just running with it, I think.
Sure, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if you should self-proclaim yourself the Bachelor of Paradise, but oh
All
gosh.
right. Well, we have a comment here from King J saying Kira got naked for Jacob for nothing and he didn't even pick her at the elimination. I don't feel bad for her for being that desperate. It was funny. I mean, it was all
Oh,
of these women were just really going for it. And I think that's what was
yeah.
so confusing about the Romeo situation of it all because this has happened in Bachelor in Paradise before. When you don't feel certain of a rose, you're going to go to extreme lengths to convince someone to try and make them pick you. But Romeo was
Yeah.
exhibiting that same behavior and he had his own rose. So I don't understand why he's telling Haley he's always been interested in her and trying to kiss Brittany. And I'm like, this is just messy, messy behavior for someone who is a sure thing. He has the rose. And Susan over
Yeah.
here is saying Romeo, not even teary eyed, but literally breaking down. Come on. I'm with you, Susan. It was a very extreme reaction for something like Casey said was his own undoing. He brought this upon himself. So Romeo,
Yeah.
Romeo,
It's
Romeo.
true.
This
Yeah,
whole
I
thing.
think
But meanwhile,
it's
yeah.
yeah, it's a lot. No, I was just gonna say on the
Mm-hmm.
Kira piece. I mean, I don't want to say like I think we should be careful of like saying Kira is desperate or like
Mm-hmm.
oh I don't feel bad for her. Let's like laugh at her. Like let's not do that. But I do think that Kira was an interesting example of like leading I just felt like she constantly was like leading with the sexual piece of things and her
Mm-hmm.
sexuality, and I think it's totally fine. Like I think it's something that women should absolutely stand strong in their sexuality 100%, but like always leading with it like doesn't
Mm-hmm.
always work. Like I think even with Casey, like the last episode, he's like that was a lot. Like I'm looking
Yeah.
for something more serious, and I would have liked to see Kira go to Jacob and like just have a conversation and just be like
Mm-hmm.
grounded and like a little more serious, because he ends up giving Lace the rose and him and Lace
Mm-hmm.
had an actual conversation. You know what I'm saying? So like I wish I would have seen a little bit more of that from Kira, like just knowing that she has more to offer than just like her sexuality, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. And you bring up
but
a good point
those are
of
my thoughts.
her and Casey too. Like they were just on such different levels. She said, her love language was basically going to the boom room and he was saying that his love language was tacos. So they were just on completely different pages.
Yeah.
And that has been something that she continues to bring up, not just with Casey, not just with
Hmm.
Jacob, but it's top of mind for her and it's something that she is running with to make a statement for sure. But yeah, like
Hmm.
you said, Lace was the one that ended up with his rose. They just had a normal conversation. Maybe that's, something that Jacob is looking for. He's trying to find, someone to potentially leave paradise with, as opposed to just, go to the boom boom room once with. So I guess we'll
Yeah.
just have to wait and see of what all transpires there. But
Hmm.
meanwhile, we have Justin showing Genevieve some attention. Obviously we saw
Hmm.
on the episode on Monday night that they were kind of going back and forth. He went on a date with Victoria and then he came back, but Justin wants to show Genevieve that he still cares and ended up asking production to get her a birthday cake as it is her birthday. But Genevieve is still mad that Justin went on that date with Victoria and called him defensive. So then Justin complains about her being upset that he's exploring other options. They had that conversation before the date where he said he wanted both of them to explore other options and then pick each other, not just kind of be forced to be together, but really choose one another after exploring other options. At this point, Genevieve says that she needs some form of validation from Justin, which like really takes him aback. He's like, I'm just staring at this cake that I made them get for you. And I'm thinking about the fact that I pulled you aside for a conversation. How is that not showing you validation?
Hmm.
Like, how is this not giving you what you need? So, my question to you,
Yeah.
Kayla, is the conversation and the birthday cake enough to show that validation? Or are you kind
Mm.
of team Genevieve in this of he really needs to decide who he wants to be with?
Yeah, it's tough because I think that Genevieve and Justin, I think the end all be all for me is that I just don't think that they don't click. Like I don't think they're on the same page, even just like in the way they communicate is like they always end up kind of arguing, and it's like you're mad that I'm mad that
Mm-hmm.
you're mad, and it's just like this
Mm-hmm.
whole mess. And I just don't, I think that alone says that they probably wouldn't work, because they just can't seem to, yeah, to agree or to understand each other, find an understanding with each other. Um,
Mhm.
but I think I get where Genevieve is coming from a little bit. Like, I was kind of like, is Justin that into Genevieve? Like, I don't know. But I think Justin is probably, I understand his side too of like, how am I not showing you that I'm interested or that I'm, in action? Like, I talked to you before I went on the date. I've like hung out with you all day yesterday, or I got you this cake. Like, and I got you the kind of cake that you like. I listened to you. So I kind of get where
Mhm.
he's coming from. Um, and I think that I don't know. I think it's fair for him to be like, "You're so mad at me for going on this date," but it's like that's paradise. We're we're supposed to be exploring these connections. Like other people are exploring multiple connections, but they're not getting the same flack that you're giving me. And
Mhm.
I do hear his side, but I think it's hard for Genevieve to like get so upset when later in the episode, like what happens later in the episode
Yeah.
happens, if that makes sense. Of like
Yeah.
when Aaron comes on, it's
Exactly.
like,
Yeah.
oh, so now you understand. like now
Totally.
you
Yeah.
so I don't know. I'm kind of critical of both of them because I do feel like sometimes Justin too, it's like, is he just doing this to like look nice? Because I don't feel like body like with his body language or even like I don't know like he's really that into her either. I don't know. It's
Mhm.
yeah. I could babble
Yeah.
on about it forever, but I just think it's definitely odd, but yeah.
Totally. And we'll dive into the kind of hypocrisy that happens with Genevieve
Yeah.
later in the episode. But with the Justin debate of Genevieve versus Victoria, Justin might not have two women to choose from. So, I mean, while he's talking
Yeah.
with Genevieve, we see Victoria F. She's making her own moves. She's smart. She's jumping over
Mhm.
and starts flirting with
Yep.
Johnny. And she owned this scene. Like, she was really, like, I think Johnny was trying to be a nice guy, wasn't exactly sure where it was going. She, at one point, in her flirtation, told him to hold my hand and prove it. Like, she just was very authoritative, sassy, told him like it
Yeah.
was. And I was like, okay, girl, like, way to not wait on Justin to make up his mind and
Mhm.
go potentially
Mhm.
find, a connection or conversation with someone else. I kind of admired her in that moment.
Yeah.
So then
Totally.
cocktail time wraps up. We head into the rose ceremony. I'll walk everyone through who gave out what roses. Andrew gave his to Teddi, Brandon to Serene, Michael to Sierra. All of these are making sense at this point. Logan to
mhm.
Shanae, Casey to Brittany. Thought that was a fun little duo. Jacob to Lace, as we've discussed, despite Kira's attempt with the leaves. Justin gives his to Genevieve, so there's your validation right there, Genevieve, if the cake wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Johnny gives his to Victoria, so bye, Hunter, because apparently he likes a woman who calls it like it is. And Romeo ends up giving his to Jill, despite the tears, despite them saying that, their relationship is not going anywhere. They ended up exchanging roses. And Romeo ended up
Mhm.
saying, Jill, I want to start off by apologizing for how I treated you this week. I really, really hurt you. I want this rose to be a fresh opportunity for us to repair our relationship or for you to explore new connections. So he's just laying it all out there. Either they'll repair the
Mhm.
relationship or she can just use him to stay another week. And Jill ends up saying, yes to the rose. She says, yes, because I know that nothing in paradise is guaranteed. So, like, this was rare in
Mhm.
Bachelor Nation because they are just calling it like it is. There's no
Yeah.
romanticizing the situation. She's flat out saying, I'm going to use this to stick around. Nothing's guaranteed. So, is there any hope of repairing this relationship at this point? Or do they both just kind of know that this is a pointless rose that needed to be handed out?
I think they both knew that the ship had sailed by this point,
Mm hmm.
and he I think he wanted to leave the door open, just like, well, maybe we could start over because I'd like to do that. But also, I understand if you just want to take the rose and explore the connections, like that might come down the beach. So, yeah, I think Romeo just kind of he messed up kind of before they even got to paradise. He apparently
Mm
messed up.
hmm.
So he's always, to me, I've always viewed it as he's been in the doghouse with Jill either way. So he's had to like play catch up and like prove
Yep.
himself. But instead of proving himself, he's like just dug his hole deeper. So it's just like, Romeo, it's done, boo. Like, you just need to give her the
Yeah.
rose, let that be, the end of it, and you guys can move on. But yeah.
Yeah, it'll be
Poor
intriguing to
Romeo.
see, what becomes of Romeo when the roles are reversed, when he is now fighting for a rose,
Mhm.
if he gets one, if anyone wants to hand him out one. We have a feeling it probably won't be from Jill. She said that ship has sailed. I believe her quote was
No.
that ship has sailed and it's now in the Middle East. So the ship was making good time. It was leaving very
Yeah, it
quickly.
was gone.
Um so Caitlin, do you want to take Caitlin's question here, Kayla?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Caitlin. So she says, do the guys talk to each other before the rose ceremony to confirm who is giving a rose to whom? I think so, because I don't remember there ever being a time when someone wanted to give someone else. Maybe I don't know, maybe
Mm-hmm.
because was there ever a time where someone wanted to give someone else their rose and then they got a rose from someone else before they
I
could
do
get, you know what I'm trying to
remember
say, before they could
levels
give
of
them a rose?
scrambling. Yeah. If someone goes
Yeah.
first and decides to give it, and I think it just depends on the guys at that point. If they want to
Mhm.
discuss it, and if it's probably an honor code system at that point of are we going to stick
Mhm.
to our word and pick who we're going to pick, or just kind of throw a Hail Mary. It's probably up to the caliber of the guys, is my
Yeah.
hypothesis.
Yeah, it's probably dependent on the cast. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And Susan's back again. She said Justin only gave his maybe Rose because he saw Victoria kiss Johnny. Oh, gave his to Jen because he saw Victoria kiss
Mm-hmm.
Johnny. Oh, that's true. What do you think,
Yeah.
Allison?
I mean, yeah, I think he was probably trying to decide between the two. There's a chance he was going to give his to Victoria because he did say on their date that they had a very like inherent natural connection. Their senses of humor were going well, and honestly based on her response with the cake of it all, of her saying that that still wasn't enough and she needed validation, that could have been his reason to say, okay, this is too much work already, I'm going to go with Victoria. But yeah, Victoria's over on that daybed making moves on Johnny, so he might have
Which
had to
was
just stick
smart.
with Genevieve at that point. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I
but
think that was smart. Yeah.
totally. So rose ceremony wraps up. We had some ladies head home. Kira, Hunter, and Haley, I believe, were the three that went home. And then the next
Mhm.
day, it's a new week. Women have the roses. We all know what that means. There's going to be more men than women. So we have two newcomers
Mhm.
come to the beach, and it is our favorite duo from last summer, Aaron and James. So they end up getting a double date card to invite two women. So they pull some women to chat and see if they have connections. So Aaron ends up pulling Genevieve. And we know that these two kind of had some sort of at least a friendship relationship. We all watched the kind of women tell all of Shanae versus Genevieve when Shanae accused Genevieve of having slept with Aaron right after the season. So, but that was
Mhm.
apparently debunked. Genevieve said that was a myth. So clearly they know each other. They had some sort of a connection. He pulls her, asking about connections and how her time has been. And I felt like at this point, Genevieve kind of downplayed her relationship with Justin. For someone who was so defensive of the relationship and wanted Justin to know for certain that they were together, she didn't really say,
Mhm.
oh, we're committed or anything like that. And she even said in her little interview portion to the camera, if Aaron asks me on the date, I think it will put me in a pickle, but a delicious pickle. So Kayla, maybe you want to touch on this because you kind of teased it before. It is somewhat
Uh-huh.
hypocritical of Genevieve to suddenly be so open to other options.
Yeah. I mean, it's like in principle, it's not hypocritical because Justin did
Mm-hmm.
go on the date with Victoria F. But I think in spirit, it feels hypocritical because she made it such a big deal.
Yeah.
She made it almost a deal breaker. I mean, she threatened to go home multiple times. She was crying. She was losing it over Justin going on a date with Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
But Erin comes down and she's like, I'm just like vibing with Justin. I mean, you know, I'm just like,
Yep. Just a
oh,
little vibe. Just a
so
little bit.
this, yeah, I'm like, so the whole narrative is just flipped now. Like you just done flipped the script.
Yep.
You just changed your tune, and it's like Genevieve. I don't know how fair that is for you to be like, well, now that it's in, I'm in the position. It's just a completely different thing. It's like it just kind of showed me that it wasn't really about Justin. It was just about how she
Mm,
felt about herself, feeling secure.
totally.
Because if she really liked Justin that much, she would have had a hard time saying yes to Aaron, but she didn't. So
No, it's a
It's
good
just
point.
like
And yeah, the
Genevieve,
power dynamic has
you
switched
know?
this week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I get where
Totally.
Justin's coming from. Yeah.
But she does not let that connection with Justin or how badly she wanted him just the previous night stop her, because when Aaron invites her on the date, she says yes. And James
Mhm.
invites Shanae. So we've also seen Shanae and Logan have a great one-on-one date, but she also says yes. So clearly both of them are open to other potential connections despite feeling pretty confident with their guys from the first rose ceremony. And of course, everyone's chit-chatting about how this date is going to be cursed because both Genevieve and Shanae are on it. But the four of them actually end up having a really good time. They go to a hotel pool, it looked like. They were playing games and competing against each other. And so overall, people are having a good time. At one point, I think Genevieve spanks Shanae or vice versa. And at that point, I was like, okay, this is a friendship, because girls wouldn't do that to
Yeah.
each other if they didn't feel comfortable and like friendly with each other. So I was pleasantly
Yeah.
surprised by the two of them on this date. And they ended up both really vibing with their guys too. So Genevieve told Aaron that he makes her feel special and seen. And Shanae calls her connection with James effortless. And she said that she's happy that she can shake her ass in front of him and not feel timid. So if that's not a
Yeah.
hallmark quote of a relationship, I'm not really sure what is. So do
No,
we
it's
think that
true.
Genevieve is sticking with Aaron now and Shanae with James, or are they going to go back to their original guys? If you had to
Mm,
predict the rose ceremony, where are they going to go?
I know. It's a good question. I think they're gonna come back to the beach and be in a pickle, as Genevieve said,
Mm,
a delicious pickle. I think they're gonna be like, I think Genevieve's gonna go back and talk to Justin and kind of I think she might even try to play the same card of like, I need to
mm,
figure out these two connections. And what to me will be interesting is how Justin responds to that. And I think Shanae will take it even harder because even on the date she was crying about like, this is scary. Like, I have a connection with Logan, I have a connection with James now. Like, what the heck? So
mm-hmm.
yeah, it should be interesting. I don't really know. We'll have to just see how it shakes out.
Yeah, and Dawn is saying, I saw Logan showing emotion for nearly the first time in regards to losing Shanae. It tugged my heartstrings. Totally. And he had that
Hmm.
comment when James offered the date to Shanae, and he said something along the lines of, if the guy with the 12 pack is, asking her on a date, I have to step up my game. And it is that realization of, it's the second rose ceremony. I don't have control over this. And clearly, someone who looks like James finds her equally as attractive and is going to come and sweep her off her
Hmm.
feet. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we see
Yeah.
some more emotion from Logan, or maybe if he, asks production to do something special, or really like kind of like
Hmm.
pitch a good game to try and win that rose. So we'll have to see what Logan has up his sleeve in terms of impressing Shanae and trying to keep her. But we have some other newcomers coming to the beach. We have Ashley and Jared,
Hmm.
obviously a successful couple who met on the beach on Bachelor in Paradise.
Hmm.
And they said, I thought it was interesting how they described why they were there. They said they, needed some time away from their new baby, that they're just there to relax, which is kind of a new thing. Typically, people come for
Yeah.
a rose ceremony or like one day, but they kind of made it seem like they wanted it as like a little trip between the two of them. So, not sure why they needed to go to the Bachelor in Paradise beach. There's plenty of beaches in Mexico, but anyways, they're
Right.
here. And Ashley ends up pulling the women, brings them to a daybed. She wants to see, who's with who, how people are doing so far. And it's at this point that we kind of are laying the groundwork for the remainder of the episode. So Teddi ends up telling the girls and Ashley that her fear is that Andrew likes her more than she likes him. So this is the first time we're seeing
Hmm.
that or hearing that from her, because they were kind of one of those really confident couples who honestly I could have seen ending this thing in an engagement. So Teddi ends up
Hmm.
having an honest conversation with Andrew, and it is clear how into Teddi Andrew is, because he had such a cute statement. He said that he gets a little heart flutter when he sees her, but he doesn't want to force anything between them. And he said, "Here's the
Hmm.
thing, Teddi. We gave it our shot. I'm not mad at all. I wouldn't take back any of the time we had, but this is your choice." So we love us
Hmm.
like a respectful king. He is just letting her
Yeah.
decide what she's comfortable with, how long she wants to pursue this. But it's kind of clear that Teddi's mind is made up. Um, but yeah, were
Hmm.
you surprised to see this conversation happen so soon? Did you think they were a sure thing? or were you already sensing some trouble in paradise, as they say?
Yeah, I'm surprised that it happened so soon. I did feel like from their date that Andrew was more committed or into it or
Mm-hmm.
willing than Teddy. Not that Teddy wasn't, because it was clear. I mean, they made it clear throughout the entire conversation they came here to meet each other. Like, it was almost a similar thing with Brandon and Serene. Like, they came
Mm-hmm.
there to meet each other and to explore that connection with each other on the beach. But yeah, I saw it kind of on their date. I felt like Teddy even just being like, "You're nervous? Like, why?" And he's just like, because I really like you."
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
but I think that, like, yeah, I love the way Andrew handled it. Like, I think he wasn't upset. I think he was just sad that it was over. But he was just like, yeah, this is your choice. I respect it. And even after she had left, when he was talking to Michael A, he kind of mentioned, like, I kind of felt that it wasn't clicking, but I just wanted it to work so bad. I think they both
Mm-hmm.
did. But
Yeah,
it's one of those things where it's just like, I think they both maybe built it up a lot in their head,
for sure.
because
Yeah.
again, they wanted to meet each other so bad, and it's like, it's this kind of, it should be perfect on paper. It should be, this should work. But I think Teddy kind of feeling like there's something missing, like the fact that I'm flirting with Rodney so hard and I feel, something missing between us. I think that's a fair thing to feel, and
Mm-hmm.
they're just maybe not the right people for each other at the end of the day. So it's
Yeah.
unfortunate,
And the
but
hard part is, like
um
you said, when they were both so set on each other, you can think, we
mhm.
are a perfect match and on paper all of these things work. But until you are there and until you're seeing what the vibes are in person, it's so impossible to know too. Also, is it the environment? Is it really the
Yeah.
two of us? But it's clear Teddy got very much in her head because the plot just continues to thicken. As you mentioned, Rodney joined the beach. He came with a date card,
Mhm.
and he had somewhat decided that he wanted to give it to Teddy. But after her conversation with Andrew, she was telling producers and in her interview moments, if I came here just for Andrew and if it didn't work with Andrew, why am I here? I want to go home. She kind of like lost all faith in the process, and she ended up
Mhm.
packing up her bags, getting in a van and leaving without telling anyone. So it was a
Yeah.
full Irish goodbye, as they call it. Like, and Serene's
Yeah.
wandering the beach looking for her, like yelling out, Teddi, Teddi. And then finally, I think Wells was the one to deliver the news that she had left. And then, of course, it's perfect timing. Rodney comes out with the date card and he's like, hey, have you guys seen Teddi? Because he wants to take her on the date. And then the episode ends with the girls saying, hey, Rodney, sit down. We have some news to tell you. Teddy's gone. So we were
Yeah.
just left on this cliffhanger. We got a great expression
Mhm.
from Rodney of just pure shock. So,
He's like, "What?"
what were your thoughts about
Yeah.
Teddi exiting, and who do we think Rodney is going to bring on this date now that Teddy's gone?
Mm. I know. I felt like I was missing something, Allie. Like, I felt like
Mm-hmm.
there was something in this between her leaving Andrew, the conversation, and just being like, I'm just gonna go. Like, I'm just packing my stuff right now and going home. I'm like, wait, wait, wait. I feel like there's a piece of this that I'm missing. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like production can be wild. They can be very pushy. They can be a lot behind the scenes. And there
Mm-hmm.
was a little bit where Teddy said to producers, she said, I know you wanted me to find love here, but I'm not, so it's done. And they're like,
Mm.
and I don't know, I just feel like there was maybe more to that conversation than just that line.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know, Teddy's posted something, very, very recently, and it just made me be like, maybe there's more to the story than just I give up with finding love here. I think maybe there's something else kind of brewing.
Totally.
But
Yeah.
yeah, with Rodney, I don't
Uh,
know who's gonna give his rose to. His date to. I don't know. I'm intrigued now to see who he'll ask on the
Yeah,
date.
and
But yeah.
Georgia is intrigued by Andrew, who Andrew will be left with, saying, "Who do you think
Oh
he's going
yeah.
to match with now on the beach now that Teddy is gone?" And I agree. I mean, I'm trying to think of who's there currently. Obviously, we know new people are going to be added all the time. I would like to see maybe
Mhm.
Andrew and Sierra see if there's something there. I feel like I get more Michael and Sierra as friends vibes. So maybe if he doesn't feel like
Oh,
he's stepping on
really?
Michael's toes, he could try something with Sierra.
Mm.
Also Brittany. I think Andrew and
Maybe
Brittany could be an
Brittany.
interesting
Yeah.
pair. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think Brittany more
Yeah.
so
And
because I
we've
feel like Michael and Sierra are so they've been so zeroed in on each other, and Michael and him are so close. I don't think he would go there, but
yeah.
Brittany, I could definitely see. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. I
So
think maybe see if that's something. And here we have Teddi will show up again. So is Teddi returning? Is Teddi coming back?
I don't.
We'll just
I
have to
don't know
keep
if I
tuning in. I don't
agree.
know. She had such a
Probably not,
dramatic
y'all. Not
exit.
gonna
I would be
lie.
hesitant to think that she'll
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah, I don't think she'll
Yeah,
come back,
but
guys.
yeah,
But yeah.
it'll be dramatic for sure. I'm intrigued to know where they'll pick up. They're kind of leaving us on all these episodes on a little bit of a cliffhanger, just picking up exactly where they left off. So we'll have to
Mhm.
tune in next week for all of these answers to our questions. Do you want to read King J's live chat?
Sure. Teddy showed that she is immature as hell. She showed her age. Ooh, that's a tough read. I don't know. Like I
Ooh.
said, I think there was definitely a lot to me left out. I think that I think there is something to say that maybe Teddy kind of got scared and just was like, "I'm just gonna go." Like, and
Mm-hmm.
also like, I think too, Andrew is such a fan favorite. I think I would also be afraid of the edit I would get. Like, if I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't into him, like, how could you not? You know? And it's like, he is, you know what I'm getting at? Like, so maybe she was just
Yep.
kind of like, I'm just going to jump ship now before I don't want to be dating someone in Andrew's face. Like, and
Absolutely.
then just get
Yeah,
this kind of
because she
end
already
up
had
getting
to
a bad
end
edit.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
if she's breaking the heart of, America's sweetheart and then like you said
Hmm.
goes on to date someone else even if her intentions are pure. We've all seen how things can be edited and how Twitter blows up. People get very defensive of the people that are their
Hmm.
favorites. And we saw how Andrew handled it. He handled it super well. So yeah, that's definitely
Yeah.
a true fear and a true risk of being on a show like this. And we
Yeah.
have a contribution, Andrew and Brittany. See, yeah, maybe
There we
Kayla and I
go.
are onto something. Maybe this will become a couple because I do think that they could be good together. I'm intrigued. I would like to see them go on a
Mhm.
date.
Yeah, I like to see him have a conversation, just explore. But I also think
Just see if
that
something's
VIP,
there.
I think Bachelor, they love Andrew so much they would like bring a girl down early just to add a rose, like,
Mm-hmm.
but for Andrew. So that
Totally.
could be a
Yeah.
possibility too. Yeah,
Justice for Andrew. Andrew needs love. We got to find him someone on the beach. But
I
yeah,
know.
that's kind of our little summary, our little discussion back and forth about Bachelor in Paradise episode 3. So thanks to everyone who tuned in, was commenting in the live chat. It's always so much fun to interact with you guys. Always so fun to be here with my girl Kayla. But make sure that you leave any additional thoughts you have down in the comments below. And before you go, make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel. We're always releasing new content, doing lives, doing shorter videos, everything you need to stay up to date with all things pop culture and Bachelor Nation. I'm your host, Allison Van Dam, again joined today by Kayla Thompson. And feel free to come give us a follow online if you want to say hello. And I guess we will see you guys in the next live. Thank you guys so much for
Yeah.
watching.
See you guys. Bye.